We now return to local news with Beverley, who will start with sport.
Southgate men's team got off to a winning start in men's hockey league on Saturday with a 2-1 victory away to Brooklands. The Southgate scorers were Anne George Scott. They are back in action on Sunday when Surbiton are the visitors to at 2:30 p.m. Meanwhile, Southgate say that the club day held on September proved a big success with players, both current and new, signing up for the 2014-15 season.
Enfield 1893 won for the first time by beating Tower Hamlets 5-1 at the Harlow Arena on Saturday. Their goals were scored by Stephen Hutchinson, Charlie Akintide, Craig Wood and Marvin Samuel. On Saturday, Enfield 18 to Barking for a league fixture at 3 p.m.
Enfield Ignations gained a thrilling 14-12 win over South Woodham Ferrers in London 2 North East on Saturday, with scrum half Jordan Wilson settling the issue with a successful penalty in the last minute. Playing into the visitors defended heroically, and despite losing Richard Lawrence, Jet Masser and Frank Stavro to the only 7-0 adrift at the break after the home side had been awarded a penalty try. A successful Wilson penalty, followed by a Christo Cassandra from a rolling maul, gave the visitors a precarious 1-point lead, which was soon by a second home try before kicked 2 more Wilson penalties to turn the game on. Ignatian skills coach Steve Atkinson said, "It was a very rewarding. Our defensive structure worked really well." Ignatians entertained Braintree in the league on Saturday.
And now for what's on. A night of cocktails, jazz and razor-sharp wit will absorb theatregoers, and the venue pulls out all the stops to create the ultimate Noel Coward experience. Before watching a production at the Dugdale Centre, the audience will be treated to the sultry tones of Elizabeth Andrews, who was penned by Coward in the style of a 1930s songstress. And to help them get into the mood of the years, they can sip cocktails in the foyer of the Dugdale Centre as they wait for curtain up. It would be fabulous if people did want to go one step further and dress up in the fashion of the 1930s, producer Greta Jenkins told the Advertiser, but don't have to. Noel Coward was such a prolific artist. He did such a lot of different things, an actor, and we thought it would be wonderful to showcase all these different parts of his life. Present Laughter is based on the life of a struggling actor and is considered to be one of Coward's most autobiographical works. This play is fun and funny, the producer added. It's sophisticated and very clever. People will love it. She explained that both she and director Gail Ashwell wanted to create an experience that would help people immerse themselves in the spirit of the 1930s. We want people to have a little bit of fun, to have a little cocktail, listen to a little bit of music and get into the swing of things and have a wonderful time at the show, she said. Present Laughter runs from Tuesday to Saturday, September 27th. Tickets are £15 with concessions at £15 and can be bought from www.dugdalecentre.co.uk or by calling 020 76680.
And now an announcement from the NHS Enfield. Enfield Clinical Commissioning Group invites you to its governing body meeting to be held in public on Wednesday the 24th of September from 2 till 4 p.m. The Dugdale Centre, Thomas Hardy House, London Road, EN2 6DS. Copies of the agenda and meeting papers will be available on our website at www.enfieldccg.nhs.uk from the 17th of September, and paper copies from Board Secretary via reception at Holbrook House, Cockfosters Road, Barnet EN4 0DR. hour from 18th of September. Questions about agenda items must be submitted by 12 noon on 22nd of September to david.triggs@enfieldccg.nhs. The governing body meeting in public will follow the annual general meeting, which will be held from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Members of the CCG will present highlights and achievement year as a statutory organisation. This event will also be an opportunity to for the next 5 years. For further information, please call 0208 3688 2867 or email david.at@enfieldccg.nhs.uk.
And I have Tales from the Shed. Interactive and entertaining shows for 0 to 6-year-olds. Every Friday and Saturday until the 1st of November. Friday 11:30 a.m, Saturday 10 a.m, and tickets £6, free to babies under 6 months. Box office number is 0208 292 92 and www.chickenshed, which is all one word, .org.uk.
And now I have a letter from Joanna McCartney, Labour London Assembly member for Enfield and Haringey. The Mayor's announcement that travel fares in the capital will increase in line with inflation will no doubt be spun by City Hall as Boris doing his bit to help struggling Londoners with the cost of living. Unfortunately for the Mayor and his team, though, Londoners don't have such short memories. While this temporary respite, if a rise in fares even counts as respite, is welcome, Londoners will see this move for what it is: electioneering only a few months before a general election. Boris Johnson repeatedly pledged to keep fares low, but hasn't been straight with Londoners. In his 6 years as mayor, only twice has he limited fare increases to inflation only. Indeed, he has now overseen a 40% rise in average travel costs, 13% higher than inflation. Bus passengers have suffered in particular, with a 65% rise in the cost of pay-as-you-go fares under Boris, up from 95p to 1.49p per trip. With the Mayor planning to all but vacate City Hall and become an MP in 2015, he is set to leave behind a rotten legacy of inflation-busting fare rises across his period in office. Commuters in Enfield, for example, will have to stump up an P per year for an annual Zone 1 to 6 travel card since he came to power in 2008. This is Boris's true legacy.
A letter from David Hughes, Conway Road. Would you believe it? At a meeting last week of the Fox Lane District Residents Association, which straddles 3 wards, at least 7 local councillors turned up rather than the usual 1 or 2. Excellent, you might think, and perhaps, but for some of them it might have just been because the agenda included a presentation about the council's new arising from the Mini Holland bid. Certainly that was when some became animated and very involved. A quieter neighbourhood is a residential area bounded by through roads, 37 have been identified, where the council has it in subject to consultation to reduce/prevent rat running, control traffic speed to 20 miles an hour, and improve air quality and quality of life. Something you'd think every councillor would at least want to consult their constituents about, but apparently not, because Conservatives at the meeting announced their opposition despite the fact the Mini Holland bid had bipartisan political support. For a time all, we heard little from residents. The reasons for making the Mini Holland bid are manifold and strong. Quality and obesity alone, lack of exercise, is one driver of becoming overweight. And both of these are affected by the quieter neighbourhoods policy. Residents' voices must be heard. To her credit, one Labour councillor said so.
And I have a letter from Suzanne Leeson, Road, Enfield, and she says, I have just returned from the Saturday opening of the Enfield Town Show. What a shambles! At 11 a.m, a crowd of people had assembled at the gate. At 11:15 a.m, a security guard told us to form an orderly queue. We waited and waited and waited. The queue grew longer and longer. Sentry kiosks just stood there and no one seemed to be in charge. There was no explanation. We were finally allowed in, very slowly, at 11:25 a.m. People had already walked away, some with unprintable comments. Apparently, some of the stallholders hung up, and Enfield Council could not sign them off the list before letting the public in. I hope that the organisers of this show will be more professional next year, or visitor numbers will surely drop.
Owners of a cosmetics store have been ordered to pay £15,000 for selling a banned product. Sharafat Hussain and Banaras Hussain of Shabba Hair and Cosmetics in South Mall, Edmonton Green, sold an illegal skin lightening cream that contained hydroquinone. The banned product can cause disfigurements, resulting in blue-black pigments being deposited on the skin. Caught by Enfield Borough Council, Sharafat Hussain was ordered to pay a total of £5,500, with Banaras Hussain paying just over £9,000 after the pair admitted to 11 charges of not complying with the cosmetic product safety regulations. Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Environment and Community Safety, Councillor Chris Bond, said, "We will not tolerate businesses that put profits before the safety of our residents, and Enfield Council will take quick and effective action against anyone who endangers the public by selling what are frankly dangerous products." This sentence sends out a very strong message, and I sincerely hope it deters others from selling these products.
Children with special educational needs will now have a new school after plans for more places were given the go-ahead last week. At a meeting of the Council's Overview and Scrutiny Panel in the Civic Centre in Silver Street, Enfield, last Thursday, proposals to provide places for 70 children at a site in Southgate were rubber-stamped. Council bosses signed off plans to take out a 2-year lease on the old Minchenden School in High Street, Southgate, which they hope will cater specifically for children with autism who need special help in education. The motion to take a lease on the school was agreed unanimously after the decision was called into the Scrutiny Committee by Conservative councillors. The Council's Cabinet Member for Education, Afar Orhan, said that the Minchenden site was the best in the borough for children with autism. This site will ensure the children will get the support and education they need to achieve their potential, she said. We are committed to providing enough school places for all our school children in high-quality buildings which meet their needs, and the lease of Minchenden School will mean we can shortly accommodate up to 70 children with autism on the site. I'm really excited about this plan. It is something we have put in place for the right reasons. It is an opportunity to meet the needs of some of our most marginalised and vulnerable young people in a fantastic educational setting. According to a council spokesman, the children with special educational needs in the borough has increased significantly since 2010, from 484 to 602. She added that the cost of educating a single young person with autism outside the borough is estimated to be in the region of £70,000 to £80,000 per year. Enfield Council estimates that the lease signed for the Minchenden site will save the borough money, which can be invested back into other services for vulnerable children and young people.
Members of the Southgate Homebound and Disabled Association were given the chance to do something a bit different when they visited a 1,000 square foot garden centre on Saturday. During their visit to the Van Haag Centre in Great Amwell, Hertfordshire, association members enjoyed afternoon tea and viewed the many flowers on show before meeting hundreds of animals at a zoo. The association, which is now in its 56th year, organises a variety of free trips and activities for Southgate residents who find themselves housebound either because of age or disability. Regular events include music and singing groups and talks, while the association has also organised cruises along the River Lee and tours of the gunpowder mills in Wortham Abbey. Chairman Ian Woodall said the association was always on the lookout for volunteers to help run the trips. We organise these outings to give our members the opportunity to do something different to our normal evenings, change where we go each year, but our choice of destination is restricted as it needs to be wheelchair accessible. Also, some years we've had to limit the number of members able to come due to not having enough volunteers to push them, although this year we were lucky. We want to grow the association to include as many people as possible, so we are always looking for more help, even just for a few hours one evening every month. The monthly meetings are held at Christchurch, the Green, Southgate. Membership is free and is open to anyone from the Southgate area who is homebound due to age or disability. To sign up as a member, contact Vice President Des Woodall on 0208 9845.
A group is aiming to raise money for young adult carers, following figures that show a quarter are bullied at school because of their role. The Enfield Carers Centre is hoping to raise awareness and money for young carers in the borough through a cafe competition. Britain's Best Breakfast, in quotes, invites cafes to host fundraising breakfasts and calls on residents to nominate their favourite cafes and make a donation. The campaign comes following the Young Adult Carers at School report, which shows that 26% of carers aged between 14 and 25 experience bullying at school because of their role. Chief Executive Pamela Burke said, "We know from talking to the young adult carers we support that many of them struggle to balance study with their caring responsibilities. That's why we need to offer them help and advice and why we are taking part in this fundraising campaign to help many more carers in our area. The cafe with the most votes and donations collected will receive an award and have the opportunity to be a celebrity in October."
An artist painted a special work to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the outbreak of the First World War. Malcolm Gray of Enfield has created a mural of Royal Flying Corps fighter pilots shooting down an enemy airship over North London. Mr. Gray, who runs an art group at Lee Valley High School in Bullsmore Lane, created the painting for the de Havilland Aircraft Museum in London Colney. He said, "It has been a rather challenging painting, as I've had to stand on a ladder with the mural angled above me, a bit like a Michelangelo lying on his back painting the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel." Mr. Gray became interested in aircraft and aerial warfare after spending time as a teenager in the Air Cadets, and added, "In the ATC I gained quite a bit of flying experience in a glider and later gained a private pilot's licence. I have been involved with the de Havilland Museum for many years, and some 5 years ago I took a more active role there, but the museum needs more volunteers." The exhibition also features many artefacts from the First World War, with Mr. Gray having had 7 of his paintings in the summer exhibition in Pall Mall, London, over the past 4 years.
A cyclist is planning on riding through 6 countries in 6 days for an inspirational girl. Keith Ballinger of Enfield was captivated by the story of Nicky Christou of Station Road in Winchmore Hill. Nicky suffers from arteriovenous malformation, AVM, which causes an abnormal connection between arteries and veins and can lead to serious bleeding around the face. The 10-year-old created her own charity at the age of 7 called Butterfly AVM and has so far raised £100,000 for research into the rare disease. Mr. Ballinger, Nicky's learning support assistant at her school for the past 3 years, is now inspired by her work and is aiming to raise money for her cause. He said, Nicky has shown bravery, courage and determination beyond anything that might be expected of a child of her age. Her condition has prompted her to think of other people in similar situations. The teacher said it was Nicky's selfless attitude that prompted him to take action. He said Nicky has stood up in public and talked about her condition in school and at fundraising events. She speaks eloquently and with maturity beyond her years. Her story has touched us all, and I can't wait to raise money for such a worthy cause. Nicky was presented with the Well Child Award for Bravery by Prince Harry in 2013 and also won the Diana Award for inspiring the lives of others. Mr. Ballinger is aiming to raise £2,000 for the cause. To donate, visit www.justgiving.com/Keith Ballinger.
A teenager has been selected to take part in a girl guiding campaign for girls and young women. Neve Griffin, 14, of Grange Park, will join the National Girl Guiding Group as part of the advocate team, which was behind the No More Page 3 campaign, as they discuss and confront issues affecting young women. The group meets 4 times a year and celebrates its 5th birthday this month. She said, becoming an advocate is an excellent opportunity to gain new skills and experiences, to meet new people and to share my enthusiasm with other like-minded girls. One of the things I'm passionate about is that I don't feel that girls are listened to, and it still seems that men have more of a voice through business, politics and sport. We're told that sexism is a thing of the past, and that isn't true. As an advocate, I hope to represent the opinions and issues of girls in my age group in a constructive environment to promote Girl Guiding UK and its amazing community. I want to make sure that girls are heard and that our opinions are valued. Ms. Griffin will be part of the group for the next month.
Campaigners who want to preserve the future of the NHS took their fight through Enfield. The People's March for the NHS reached Edmonton last week, visiting North Middlesex University Hospital in Stirling Way. Led by a group of mothers from Darlington who have travelled 300 miles on foot, passing through 23 towns, they then proceeded to Edmonton MP Andy Love's office in Ford Street for a rally. The campaign was sparked following the Health and Social Care Act of 2012 and its impact on the NHS. MP Love said, "The Darlow mums are a fantastic example of a group of people who care so much about something that they're prepared to take action and shout about. I share many of their concerns about what is happening to our health service. A huge amount of money was wasted in a top-down reorganisation, and since then we have seen A&E waiting times increase, ambulance response times get longer, and just recently we learnt that 15% of people in Enfield who tried to book a GP appointment over the past 12 months have had to wait a week for more. That's unacceptable. Our NHS should be free at the point of need, and we will do everything in our power to ensure that it has a viable future." A spokesman for the marchers said, "The message from the mums is a simple one. The NHS is owned by and loved by us, and every effort will be made to stop it being sold off."
A cycling enthusiast has successfully completed his mammoth journey to Paris for charity. Clyde Muir of Winchmore Hill was one of the Pedal to Paris team that managed to raise more than £500,000. On a personal level, Mr. Muir was aiming to raise £1,500 and has so far raised £1,911 for the Royal British Legion in Southgate. Speaking about his experience to the Enfield Independent, Mr. Muir said, "The whole experience was one I shall cherish. From the moment I set eyes on the rising mist above Greenwich Park, right up until tyre rubber struck the first unforgiving cobble on the Champs-Élysées. After the grueling 4-day ride, Mr. Muir was able to celebrate on the famous Arc de Triomphe." He added, "It was brilliant. There were impressive and moving ceremonies along the way. There was plenty of spare time to reflect on the hundreds of thousands of young lives snuffed out in the battlefields of the Somme that our route led us through. To donate, visit www.justgiving.com/Clyde.
Thames Water has been ordered to pay more than £80,000 in fines for botched repairs to roads. The company was fined £82,065 for leaving roads in a bad condition after work to maintain pipes. Enfield Borough Council found that between September 2013 and January 2014, 15 roads had been damaged. Independent tests also showed that 43% of roads repaired by Thames Water had to be repaired again.
We have reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of
Beverley,
Rod,
myself, Lilian, with Colin and Jason on controls, it's cheerio, goodbye. Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the cassette into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible in readiness for the next edition. The Enfield Talking newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.